Reports are coming in that one person is dead and several people have been injured after a shooting incident at Dunblane Primary School.
16 children have been killed.
Thomas Watt Hamilton was born May 10, 1952 in Glasgow, Scotland. By the time Hamilton was born, his mother, a hotel chambermaid, had divorced his father. Hamilton was unaware of his father's identity and was raised by his mother's adoptive parents, believing they were his own parents. He was legally adopted when he was 2 years old. He thought his biological mother was his sister until he discovered the truth at the age of 22. As a boy, Thomas Hamilton excelled academically. As a teenager, he joined a rifle club and the Boys Brigade, and by the age of 20, he was an assistant leader in his local Boy Scouts club. The guys soon complained that Hamilton was training them how to use rifles and handguns, forcing them to participate in perverse acts, and then paying them to remain silent. He was ordered to leave the Scouts in 1974. Police had received multiple complaints about Hamilton's behavior towards the young lads who frequented the youth organizations he ran. It was claimed that he had taken images of semi-naked boys without parental approval. Hamilton had temporarily served as a scout leader beginning in July 1973 as assistant leader with the Scout Association's 4th/6th Stirling Unit. In the autumn of that year, he was assigned as leader of the 24th Stirlingshire Troop, which was being reactivated. However, multiple complaints were filed against his leadership, including 2 instances in which scouts were forced to sleep in Hamilton's van during hill walking outings. Within months, on May 13, 1974, Hamilton's scout warrant was revoked, with the county commissioner claiming that he was distrustful of his moral intentions toward boys. He was banned by the association, thwarting his subsequent effort to become a scout leader in Clackmannanshire. He claimed in letters that rumors about him caused the demise of his retail company in 1993, and in the latter months of his life, he complained that his attempts to form a boys' club were met with harassment by local police and the scouting movement. He complained to the Queen and the local MP, Michael Forsyth. In the 1980s, George Robertson, a Dunblane MP, protested to Forsyth about Hamilton's local boys' club, which his son had attended. On the day after the massacre, Robertson admitted to having argued with Hamilton in my own home. On March 19, 1996, 6 days after the shooting, the body of Thomas Hamilton was cremated. On the morning of Wednesday, March 13, 1996, ex-scout leader Thomas Hamilton, 43, was seen brushing ice off his van outside his residence on Kent Road in Stirling at around 8:15 am. He left shortly after and went roughly 5 miles, 8.0 kilometers, north to Dunblane in his white van. He arrived at before 9:30 am. He entered the premises of Dunblane Primary School and parked his van near a telegraph pole in the school's parking lot. Hamilton used pliers to cut the lines at the bottom of the telegraph pole, which supplied surrounding houses, before moving across the parking lot to the school buildings. Hamilton went to the northwest side of the campus, to a door near the restrooms and the gymnasium. After gaining access, he went to the gymnasium with 4 legally owned handguns, 2 9mm Browning HP pistols, and 2 Smith & Wesson M19.357 Magnum revolvers. He also carried 743 cartridges of ammo. In the gym, 28 Primary 1 students were preparing for a physical education lesson in the presence of 3 adult staff members. Before entering the gymnasium, he is thought to have fired 2 rounds into the assembly hall stage and the girls' lavatory. When Hamilton entered the gymnasium, he was preparing to approach Eileen Harold, the PE teacher in charge of the lesson. when he began shooting at random. He shot Harold, who suffered injuries to her arms and chest while attempting to defend herself, then continued shooting into the gymnasium. Harold stumbled into the open-plan store cupboard at the side of the gym, along with numerous other injured children. Gwen Mayer, the primary 1 teacher, was shot and killed instantaneously. Mary Blake, the other present adult and supervisory helper, was wounded in the head and both legs, but managed to make her way to the store closet with several children in front of her. Hamilton had fired 29 rounds with one of the pistols after entering the gymnasium and taking a few steps, killing 1 youngster and injuring numerous others. 4 injured children, including Harold and Blake, had sought refuge in the storeroom. Hamilton then moved up the east side of the gym, shooting 6 shots as he proceeded, before firing 8 shots toward the opposite end of the gym. He then moved to the center of the gym, firing 16 shots at point-blank range at a group of children who had been rendered unconscious by his previous shots. A primary 7 student walking on the west side of the gym building heard loud crashes and screams, then peered inside the gym. Hamilton fired in his direction and the student was hurt by shards of glass before fleeing. From this location, Hamilton discharged 24 rounds in different directions. He shot at a window near the fire exit, located at the southeast corner of the gym, lightly targeting an adult who was crossing the playground. Then discharged 4 additional shots in that direction after opening the fire exit door. Hamilton then left the gym momentarily via the fire exit, shooting another 4 times at the library's cloakroom, hitting and wounding Grace Tweddle, another school staff member. In the mobile classroom nearest the fire exit where Hamilton stood, Catherine Gordon observed him shooting and directed her primary 7 class to get down on the floor before Hamilton discharged 9 bullets into the classroom, hitting books and equipment. A bullet went through a chair where a child had just been seated moments earlier. Hamilton then returned to the gym, discarded the pistol he had been using, and armed himself with one of the 2 revolvers. He placed the gun's barrel in his mouth, aimed it upwards, and pulled the trigger, ending his life. A total of 32 individuals suffered gunshot injuries inflicted by Hamilton over a span of 3 to 4 minutes, 16 of whom were mortally wounded in the gym, including Gwen Mayer and 15 of her students. Another child passed away while being taken to the hospital. The initial call to the police was made at 9:41 a.m. by the school's headmaster, Ronald Taylor, after he was warned by assistant headmistress Agnes Olsen that there might be an armed individual on the school grounds. Olsen told Taylor that she had heard screams coming from the gymnasium and had noticed what appeared to be spent cartridges on the floor. Taylor himself had heard loud noises earlier but had assumed they were caused by construction work on the premises that he had not been notified about. As he made his way toward the gymnasium, the shooting stopped. When he realized the seriousness of the situation, he returned to his office and instructed Deputy Headmistress Fiona Eddington to call for ambulances, which she did at 9:43 a.m. The first ambulance reached the school at 9:57 a.m. A second medical team from Dunblane Health Center arrived at 10:04 a.m., consisting of doctors and a nurse who assisted in the initial emergency treatment of the wounded. Additional medical staff from health centers in Doon and Callender arrived soon after. Meanwhile, Stirling Royal Infirmary had been alerted at 9:48 a.m. to a major incident involving multiple casualties, and its first medical team arrived at the scene at 10:15 a.m. A further team from Falkirk and District Royal Infirmary arrived at 10:35 a.m. By around 11:10 a.m., all injured victims had been transported to Stirling Royal Infirmary for treatment, although one victim died while being taken to the hospital. Following medical assessments, several patients were transferred to Falkirk and District Royal Infirmary. while others were moved to the Royal Hospital for Sick Children in Glasgow. Alongside the 1987 Hungerford massacre and the 2010 Cumbria shootings, this incident remains one of the deadliest firearm-related criminal acts in the history of the United Kingdom. The Cullen Inquiry recommended stricter controls on handgun ownership and suggested that a complete ban on private ownership be considered, while allowing continued use by gun clubs. It also called for improved school security and stricter vetting of those working with children. While the Home Affairs Select Committee supported tighter gun laws, it opposed a total handgun ban. Following the massacre, public pressure grew rapidly. Groups such as the Gun Control Network were formed, and bereaved families launched the Snowdrop Petition, which gathered 705,000 signatures. Newspapers also supported the cause, including the Sunday Mail, whose own petition collected over 428,000 signatures. In response, John Major's Conservative government passed the Firearms Amendment Act 1997, banning most handguns with limited exceptions. After winning the 1997 election, Tony Blair's Labour government introduced a second amendment, banning the remaining .22 handguns in England, Scotland, and Wales. The ban did not apply to Northern Ireland, the Isle of Man, or the Channel Islands. School security was significantly strengthened nationwide, with many schools installing perimeter fencing and control entry systems that remain in place today. Evidence of earlier police contact with Thomas Hamilton was presented to the Cullen Inquiry, but sealed for 100 years, officially to protect children's identities. This decision sparked allegations of a cover-up. In 2005, edited documents were released, revealing that Hamilton had previously been investigated in 1991 and reported for multiple offences, though no action was taken. Some sensitive files remain sealed to protect victims' families.